Well, I'll get started, and if anyone comes in, we'll let them in, but it looks like it might be the time. So just to start off, not knowing varying levels of knowledge in the room, I thought I'd go through some key bullet points about Your Own Place as an organisation. So we were founded and started in 2013 by Rebecca. This was through her seeing a gap in, a gap with the people that she was working with around people's skills and confidence in tenancy sustainment. And that ultimately, is our mission to prevent homelessness and how that led on. We are a social enterprise, which we love to shout about. So all of our profit goes straight back into us as a business and out into the community. So it's a nice cycle that goes straight back to people. This is a list here just on the left of our organisational values. So this is what we refer back to constantly in the team induction period, in every single week at our meetings and how we do things. I'm going to approach them today from a relationship building angle when we move into the partnerships. So how we work with people by using these approaches. Firstly, in our facilitation, in our workshops, how we work with what we call the trainees, but also with our volunteers that we train up. Then with our partners, so the people that we're working with who are commissioning us and that all of the team are working with on a day-to-day basis too. And then we completely use these internally too. So we have a coaching approach to leadership. And so bringing in the restorative approach to staff's personal development means that they take ownership of day-to-day and then manage their partnerships and go forward from there. Then ultimately we use them in every part of our back office too. So our plan writing to using just them to sense check our outcomes, everything that we're doing day to day. So the physical work we're doing matches the way we work with people too. So moving into kind of what I'll be covering today in the webinar, we're a small group. So as I move through slides, as I pause, if you have a question, a point of discussion, please do just, hop in and let me know. The general kind of pathway over the next 20 minutes or so will be what makes a successful partnership, then how do we start working with a new partner, how do we then keep those projects on track, and then what makes a good ending together. So first of all, I'm going to ask you to use these Annotate tools, or Nigel, I'll type for you happily.
Thank you.
To say what makes successful partnership working. Any words that pop into your mind, note them down, and then we'll aim to fill the screen as much as possible.
Can you just write with the mouse? Is that how I do it? Right. Oh, there's a text button. I was going to say.
Your mouse up to the top. There's an annotate function, and you should be able to type. Cool. Nigel, let me know of any words.
Do you want me to put them in chat? Would that help?
Go for it if you'd like. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm sorry, I think I've just undone I think I've just deleted what I wrote somehow.
No worries.
Oh, yes, sorry, I hit the clear button by accident.
Can you see that?
This is my first time, I'm so sorry.
Can you see the undo button?
Perfect, thank you. Such a rookie. A year and a half later.
The thing is we all use different platforms. You get me on Teams, and I'm also a slight rookie because we're so used to using Zoom's features.
Yeah.
Brilliant. We've got a really nice full screen here now. Who would be able to share a little bit about what they've written or why?
Yes, so I can. So I put in communication, and I think that's just open communication and good dialogue is great for any partnership or whatever level. And it's just giving everyone the voice to talk and appreciated and understood that their voice is heard and listened to, and it just encourages an understanding and an achievable goal. So where you're all going and trying to do things together. If there's no communication, you get misunderstanding and then fractions between it, don't you? So I think communication is the biggest thing, which everything else kind of then slightly hinges upon.
Totally, yeah, and I really like the point of that their voice is heard as well, is that sometimes we can all communicate and hear different things or say things and don't feel like they're listened to. But I think that core part to partnership is taking on board what the other organisation is saying and then implementing from that, because we all work so differently, and something that works for your own place could be quite difficult for another organisation. So how do we meet in the middle to still get that work to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Niv or Nigel, is there anything you could share on there?
I too were open and honest communication and listening. So exactly that two-way dialogue, and really being, I guess, open-minded to listening to people's opinions, because quite often you can come in with preconceived ideas. So just really truly listening.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I think sharing is so important. It's I've worked with partners before who are very insular in their approach even to partnership working, that they don't quite grasp the idea that you're there to work truly as a team, really, and that's essential. So they still hold back a lot, and I think whilst you need appropriate agreements in place, it's important that people in a true partnership are willing to share.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and I totally agree. Share when it's pressures are, or share when things are working well or not, and share accountability. And I think setting up the shared vision at the beginning means that you're more likely to stay on track closer to the end. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to take a quick screenshot and clear the screen. So moving on now, I'm going to start to talk about how your own place tries to then take these beliefs, these things that we all feel are important, into action of working in partnership. So at the beginning, starting to work together, one of our key learnings that it's really shown is having project leadership, and that's both internally at your own place. So we identify a project lead, and then also at the partner organisation to have project leads who hold ownership over it. It's their personal development, and they're a driving force internally within the partner organisation. And we then know who our points of contact are and who that communication happens to be between, and how you then work within those partnership teams. You as a partner organisation know your staffing structures, when newsletters go out, when there are team meetings, whereas we'll be learning those things. So having that project internal leadership, we found, is very important and so helpful. We also then look at sharing our partnership news. When we're working together, we're working collaboratively to try and prevent homelessness. Who doesn't want to hear about that? And so setting out some external press releases, we feel like works often so well, but then looking at how we can share the partnership internally at your organisation. So like I just mentioned, do you have newsletters that go out? How is it best to cascade the news between your teams that shows it's working collaboratively with you, not trying to do somebody else's job or step on anybody's toes, but we're working together on this, and we'll aim to make sure that is definitely together, not, putting somebody out of a job, I suppose, is one of the risk factors that we can have coming in as an external partner. So the next thing we book in together are staff engagement workshops. So here are a few images of them with our different, a few of our different partners this year. So North Norfolk District Council, the Clock Tower Sanctuary down in Brighton, and the Flagship Group. What I was hoping to show from these photos is how interactive they are, and that how we work with staff in teams is exactly how we work with trainees. So that means that staff go away really visioning and, you know, knowing how our workshops are, knowing how we facilitate restoratively using the asset-based approach, how we meet lots of different learning needs and styles, standing up around the room, being on the floor, team building. And it means that then they go away with a full understanding of what we do too, rather than us trying to share over the phone or over Zoom and put it into words. And we found that this is a massive success in then knowing multiple people within an organisation that all have buy-in. A few of our whys now for, you know, putting the time in for staff engagement workshops is learning to understand each other. A local authority works so differently for us than us. So how do we actually match those staffing structures and ensure that we've got the right communication methods? Do we use Zoom or Teams? Do we use phone calls via email? Getting those, you know, set up straight away means that we don't then hit walls 3 months down the line. We also do lots of myth busting during them, which I love. So we share some of our myths and they share some of theirs. And it really helps get the edge of what people have assumptions of about each other and what's actually, you know, happening in the day-to-day. The priority of it is building relationships. It, you know, helps no wonders, and then it's easier to pick up the phone to somebody. It means that if you've got a question, somebody just approaches us straight away for that question rather than sitting on it, and referrals do happen quicker with higher numbers when we have good relationships with more people in each organisation. We also form the referral pathways within these workshops. So ask your teams, like, what's the best way for referrals to be set up? Where's that referral form going to be based? And what points of contact do you have with people to then make those referrals? That means that the teams from the partner organisation have collaborated on that. It's their ideas and it works to fit them. And then the follow-up process goes through us. We also cover trainee engagement. So, you know, one of the difficult things about our work, honestly, is once we get people there, they often stay. Our retention is about 97%. However, getting people on the workshops can often be the difficult part to it. So working with the partner organisations, you know what barriers people might face. You understand the people you're working with before we do. So how can we come up with some solutions together? So when people say, I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about this, we've already got a list, so we call it our engagement bank, that we've collectively added up to. And then this is just a quote, I'll let you read it within your own time, about from a housing officer from the flagship group who attended one of our workshops, our staff engagement workshops. And I think what I really wanted the takeaway of sharing this to be is that the staff felt like it was worthy of their time to come to these workshops too. I think the fear is you're taking somebody out of a chunk of their day and their, you know, high pressure workplace, but making sure it's purposeful for your team members too is something that's really key, and that they feel like it was interactive, their voice was heard, and that there's points to be taken away. This final slide on staff engagement workshops is just to show how we can create it either face-to-face or digitally. The team did some amazing work over lockdown of transferring all of our work from our pinpoint facilitation style, so the paper on the walls, to making it visually appealing as a digital technique. So it means if you had staff across different geographies, or we're in lockdown, there's concerns around attending group spaces, we've then got techniques that we can still put these together. These activities are empathy maps, so it's part of our trainee engagement activity, where you have somebody you're working with in the middle and put yourself in their shoes, and then we try and come up with techniques with the teams of how we can support them to get to a TILS Plus workshop or an employability workshop. So moving on to the kind of middle running of the partnership work together, there's obviously the project management aspect of it. As I said before, having each your own place facilitator, team member, they lead on different projects. So it means I know exactly who to go to about our different partners and who we're working with. They then have contacts within the partnership organisation too. Each facilitator is then managed by an operational manager. And we have created what we call the project management dashboard. So this covers outcome percentages. So for example, 75% of trainees for our work with a certain partner have felt increased confidence in money management. And it means that we'll have those outcome percentages at the tips of our fingers at any point of the partnership working. So then if you come to a meeting and you'll say, what difference have you been making recently? We can share them quite readily. It also will record our referral numbers, so we can see whether we're on track with referrals, our retention percentages, and how many people have attended the workshops as well. And then not wanting to take a numbers approach to everything, we do this within project supervision meetings with the team. So again, it's talking them through, taking a coaching approach, reflecting on the learning. Why are the outcomes different with this group compared to this group? Or why have we got lots of people attending our project with this partner, but not with this partner? And then we can start to compare and look at what we could be doing differently or what we're doing well that could be transferred. Then I think one of the big important things is impact management. So most of us are here within this sector to make a difference and to see what difference is being made. And in this case, it's around us collectively working together to prevent homelessness. Our trainees leaving with, increased skills and confidence to sustain a tenancy, and have we collaborated towards our collective mission to prevent evictions or to prevent homelessness and to sustain accommodation. So how we try and measure this and do it is through the questionnaire at the start of workshops and at the end of workshops to measure the distance travelled, as I said before, and outcomes such as increased confidence to manage money or increased confidence to keep my home. We also then collect photos, videos, quotes, video testimonials to put them all collectively together and build a picture of the work we're doing to share it back to partners and out on social media too. And the bit that always lights up partners' eyes when I share it is around case studies. So specific people that we've been working with that have just, there's something's happened during a workshop that you can share back and they're like, wow, that's incredible. So for example, a recent meeting, there was a lady who attended one of our workshops and she had 6 years worth of letters in a drawer that she hadn't, she'd been concerned to go to. And in the middle of the workshop, she brought a letter and she opened her first one and made the call and, sorted it out. And then she was like, I now have the confidence to go home and keep going through them. And it might take time, but I can do it. And we can't take the credit for that being all about us. It's about her, but it's about creating an atmosphere and being the first point of conversation that then drew her to make that choice, make that decision and do it. And then sharing that back to the housing association she's working with means that they can continue to support her on that journey out of debt. Then the picture I've just got on here is we worked with Great Yarmouth Borough Council as part of the Everybody In movement and during COVID. And we want to celebrate people receiving certificates. It's a big deal. You've accomplished something. So cheering, shouting, having a photo with your certificate at the end is all part of what we do too. Then during, throughout the commission or the partnership, depending on how big, whether it's 6 months, a year, 2 years, we set up review meetings. And this is an opportunity to share highlights, share case studies, like I just said, share the impact we're making, and then learn from it and potentially make changes ready for the next workshop. So it doesn't mean we ever set out, if you've commissioned 3 tenancy and independent living skills workshops or 8 employability workshops, we don't just do it and then leave it. We have regular review meetings, which means that if we need to make changes to referral pathways, support systems, building relationships, we can then do that and implement them. And then finally, kind of moving on to our impact reports. So for each partner, we create an impact report on this jazzy thing called Infogram, which is really nice and visual, colourful, it moves about. And then we can create that. This picture on here shows the demographics of referrals and a bit about outcomes. We can include the video testimonials, photos, quotes, all of that in a lovely document and share it with you. And we include our challenges and reflections too. And this could, if there's certain funders that you need to report back to, or funding needs of your internal organisation, let us know and we can make sure this meets your funding needs as well, so you can share it on to who you need to, and then potentially lead on to another year or another bit of work together. This here's a quote from Great Yarmouth Borough Council from once they'd read our impact report. So she said, "I think the report is just what I wanted from it. It shows outcomes, the personal journeys made by participants, and the benefits, challenges and responses made." So sums it up quite nicely. So I suppose to summarise, what I'd really love you guys to take away from today is, I suppose, the support and communication we put in from start, middle and end with working with a partner. Tenancy sustainment is our core bit of work. It's the team's expertise. And so they are really engaged with putting their voices forward, but also hearing other voices within the sector, within the whole country, and trying to work out how we can best work with people. We place a lot of value on relationships. Everything seems to be about them a lot of the time. And so understanding your teams and the people that they're working with and then we're working with is so important, so we can offer flexibility and adaptability, because people's lives can change each week. And so us being adaptable and flexible as a project is so important to us. And it means that we can review, have open conversations, and then share our learning for the next step. So my final slide is just another quote from Saffron Housing of their feedback from recently working in partnership with us over the last 3 months. And that's everything. So yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions or start any discussion together for the last few minutes.
It's been really helpful. Thank you, Jess.
Good. Lovely. I've got an evaluation form. If you're not attending any more webinars today, it'd be brilliant if you could fill it out. If not, happy for you to wait until the end of the third one. I'll just pop it into the chat. Who's going to Jess's, the Tills one next? Nice.
Yep.
Lovely. She's doing some nice examples of what we cover in DigiTills, so it really helps bring it to life. I've just popped the evaluation form in the chat if you do want to open it, but if not, feel free to fill it out after you've spoken to other Jess. Thank you so much for your time and for coming. It's been lovely to meet you guys and see you.
Thank you, Jess. Take care.
Thanks, take care.
Great, thanks very much,
Bye.
Jess. See you later.